So this is you, okay? And this is what happens when an ambitious man loses himself in a relationship. Now, I've worked with hundreds of men in regards to this matter in helping them recalibrate and show up in a way that protects or fixes their relationships, whether it's professional or personal. And these are the 7 laws that I have shared privately with my clients that can change your current situation. And I'm going to give that away to you today for free. All you have to do to help me as I'm helping you is to stick till the end and drop a comment letting me know if this was useful to you. Alright, so my name is Mac Doe and I'm an advisor that helps people understand these things. Right, so we're going to go straight in because I don't want to waste time, and so I'll give you the runaround. But the truth of the matter is this, okay? The reason why you've lost yourself is because there wasn't a code you were sticking to when it came to your relationship. Which leads us to number 1, okay? Instead of leading, you were looking for approval, alright? And that happens every single time your partner is even saying to you things like, I want you to please me, I want you to do that, and you're doing it and you're taking it normally, right? The problem is you're supposed to lead, right? So quite simply, this is where I'm going, and if you don't like it, that's cool, but that's clearly a misalignment, and I'm okay with us parting ways, okay? The only way that rule number 1 works is if there's alignment. Okay, so that means we're heading towards the same direction, so there has to be congruency, there has to be some sort of agreement in regards to the roles we're going to help each other get to in order for us to navigate. And I'll give you a prime example. When you're not leading and you're seeking for approval, you are literally either breaking yourself down trying to keep both of those things going, or you're doing the exact opposite, which is denouncing what you're supposed to lead and focusing on getting the approval you need. So in other words, the approval is what's costing you, right? Approval is expensive to leadership. In fact, every single time you're trying to gain approval, forget about leadership. It's because they're not in the same league, okay? So that's rule number 1. I'm going to put a tick on it because you understood. Now, the only reason why I know this so well is because I've done this numerous amounts of time. When it came to work, I was very determined, very ambitious. When it came to my missus, my exes, there was always something, right? I was always, you know what? I was the CEO of their happiness. If I wasn't making them happy, then there was a problem. And I'm there trying to fix, okay, what can I do to fix this? What can I do to fix that? And the problem was, I stopped leading and I made them the leader that will now give me the permission slip that now says that I have now been approved. So that's how a lot of us end up doing the exact same thing. Number 2, identity dictates behavior. That is such a powerful statement, which relates to number 1, right? The moment you have a clear idea on what your identity is, who am I? What you now start to behave as starts to make sense because you have a frame that you now must follow. Okay, now I made a video last week where I broke down the 8 things. My daughter's here, but I'm going to leave her here because yeah, anyways, I made a video last week where I broke down the 8 things that you should consider when it comes to understanding your identity and how you show up in real life. Okay, now when it comes to having that clarity in each of those sectors, right? So for instance, let's think of family. Okay, how you show up when it comes to this is imperative. Okay, so I'll give you an example, very practical. I went from being the people pleaser who had no idea of who I was to the healthy husband. Okay, and the only reason why I had to become the healthy husband is because I need to make a conscious decision to connect. Why? Because connection isn't as a strong desire as it used to be, because I had coming from an avoidant background. Okay, if you're someone that's anxious, then you're probably going to say something like, I'm going to be the strong husband. Because of your anxiety, you become soft. Okay, now the reason why now that works for me is because I now know that I cannot have the lack of desire to connect with my wife just because I want to stay in my avoidant mode, or because I want to stay avoidant. And by the way, I'm no longer avoidant, I'm secure. And the only reason why I'm secure is because I can observe everything I'm feeling without reacting to it. Okay, and the only reason why that can happen is because there's a concept that I got from a therapist I was working with, which basically explained how you have to see your emotions as a massive village, and you're the king of that village, okay? However, if you now try to embody one of the people in that village, you lose your ability to be on the throne. You can't be the king and part of the village at the same time. So you're not your emotion, you're the person that's experiencing them, you're the person that's commanding them. And that's such a powerful perspective, because then that puts you in the driver's seat every single time you want to react. Okay? So the next time you want to react, ask yourself, am I playing the role of the king of the village, or am I playing the role of the villager? Right? And then based on how you want to perceive, and yeah, I want to be the villager, sure. I want to be the peasant of the village. And see how exciting it feels to react after that, matching people's energy, right? So that's number 2. If you're someone that wants to be healthy, then say, I am acting, or I am the healthy husband, therefore I do healthy things. In this conversation, in this conflict, in this situation where I feel tension, I am going to look for the healthy outcome, which is not confrontation, but it's not avoidance either, right? So it's the alternative that gets me to the outcome I need based on the identity I've become. So that's number 2. Number 3, I put here trauma experience or reset the outcome and fix your blind spots, right? So what that basically means in essence is that you were developed by something, okay? You came into this world as a sponge. Your experiences started to nurture the identity you've now built. And the very things you've absorbed sometimes work to your advantage, and sometimes they do the very opposite. Your job is to make sure that you're very clear on whatever you've seen, what it means, and whether it's self-sabotaging what you're building or is working right with it. Now, the reason why I said trauma and experience is because 99% of us has 100% involved in some sort of trauma. Why? You probably wouldn't be watching this video otherwise. You would not have need to understand how to deal with conflict had you had no trauma, right? And in those, now that we're opening the can of worms, there's 2 oceans, right? There's ocean number 1, which is I feel safe when I'm in control. Or number 2 is I feel safe when the other person gives me approval. Or I feel safe when I'm left alone. You've got to figure out in what camp you're in and get the hell out, because none of those things work to your advantage. Here we go. Take this. Look at that. Wow. Wow. Look at that. Nice. So that's it there, right? In my case and scenario, I came from a divorced household. My dad then got remarried and they have a beautiful union at the moment. However, the problem is, in my development, I started to pick up on things that they thought were completely normal, alright? Such as, hey, listen, we don't talk about emotions here. We suppress, right? And now, what am I doing? Suppressing, right? Or, hey, what are you talking about? We don't handle conflict in a healthy manner. We either avoid it, okay? Or, when it does come, we say what we need to say. And it is what it is. But we can't fix it. We have to either say what we need to say or avoid it completely. Now, I had to learn how to find the ground that says, I don't have to confront it. I don't have to ignore it, right? But I also don't need to be the person that isn't going to confront it in a healthy manner. So I am going to confront it. But I'm going to confront it in a way that gets me the outcome I need, which is connection. I don't need to win. I need connection, right? But these are all things that I had to unlearn. And just so you know, if you're currently experiencing drama, problems, it's probably the blind spots you're not seeing based on the upbringing you had. And if you want to learn how to decode or dissect that, drop me a message on Instagram saying reset. I'll send you the link to book a session, or you can just go on the link down below in the description somewhere and book yourself in for a session, okay? That is what we're going to do. We're going to reset you so that you can stop letting your blind spot make expensive decisions on your behalf whilst you're trying to sort everything else out, okay? Number 4, anti-fragility, right? This is to do with failures, okay? Now, I'd like to call myself an expert at failures. Why? Because every single time it happened, I had to learn how to deal with it. Now, the reason why I say trauma and experience is because 99% of us has 100% involved in some sort of trauma. Why? Because 99% of us has 100% involved in some sort of trauma. Why? Because every single time it happened, I had to learn how to deal with it. I found a way to bounce back. Okay, whether that's through grief, depression, fat loss, no loss, for what's it called, bankruptcy, and business failures. Right, I found a way to. The reason why I can sit here today is not because of how much I've read. It's actually the opposite. It's because of how much I've failed. Okay, every single time I failed, right, and I'm going to tell you a story shortly, I focused on the lesson that helps me become the person that can be grateful for that very experience they've had. Okay, not because I lacked the experience, by the way. No, because I understood one thing. If I can gain something from that situation, I can become stronger. Just like Goku did as a Super Saiyan, just like most of the anime characters do, right? Because most of them have copied Dragon Ball Z anyway, but that's a different topic. My point is this: once you understand how to turn your failures into lessons and you let go of the pain in it, you'll be able to look back and say, I'm grateful I went through that because I am glad of who I have become today. That is the concept of anti-fragility in a nutshell. I do speaking gigs on this, but I'm just trying to summarize it because of time. Number 5, you want to build evidence in regards to being the person that respects his word. Why is that so powerful? Because even when you decide to do takeaway and you said I'm going to do the 75-day challenge, you now say, I decide to have takeaway today. Whether it is a celebration or whatever the case is, right? But you want to build evidence in being the person that respects his own word. Because if you don't do that, every single time you start to go out there and expect people to respect you, guess what? The evidence is going to be stacked against you. It's like, wait, hold on. Isn't it him, man? What, you, bro, the same guy that doesn't, come on. Why would they respect you? Because that's exactly what your brain's going to do. You go into the pulpit and you start to lead and people say, hypocrite. Who said that? Your brain. Your brain got at you. He said, yeah. This guy's a joker. No way. I will never take him serious. So own your decisions, right? And if you're going to own your decision, they better work to your advantage. Because now, once you own your decisions and they work rightly against you, you start to realize that actually, I am a freaking idiot. Or I am a donor. I'm supposed to lead myself in a better way. Alright? Number 6. Being cold is a liability to connection, right? So that's number 6. So that basically says that this is more for the avoidant person, right? And I remember when I studied Carl Jung, manipulation from Robert Greene and all the books he read, and Machiavellian. What else did I read? I went deep into cells and cell psychology. I went into psychology as well. I realized and I started to see a lot of patterns, right? I started to spot people's patterns. I started to understand, okay, if I want to connect with this person, this is what I need to do, and blah, 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 blah. But the problem is, I got cold, right? Because I was like, wait, hold on. So you're telling me that people are just loyal to their desires. People are just loyal to the very things that they crave. And I'm just a pawn, if anything, towards that. Sometimes, right? So if I don't have alignment, I may just be completely obliterated by the simple fact that this person is prepared to do whatever it takes to get whatever they need to get, regardless of how I feel, regardless of what I want. And that was a harsh reality to come through. So when that happened, I decided, you know what? From this day forward, I am having no one getting close to me. Okay, so I know exactly how to keep it short term. When it comes to the long term, hey, I wanted to get to know you more. Hey, what's happened to you? Why are you all of a sudden so cold? I was like, and this is where it stops. Because I'm protecting myself, right? I wasn't going to let anyone get as close to me because of that simple fact, right? And the problem with that is it became kryptonite when it came to building connection, which is probably what 99% of all avoidants are experiencing. They don't know how to get people close to them because their safe space is fragile when you add 2 or more people in it. So you're not strong because you're able to disconnect with people. No, actually, because you don't let people in, what that makes you is fragile. And once I understood that, as someone that values strength, I didn't look at, oh yeah, let me run towards emotion. No. I was like, I want to be strong. I want to be stable enough to allow people in to my space, feel connection, and if it goes great, it goes great. If it doesn't, it doesn't, and it's cool, right? Because part of me, as growing up as an anxious person, missed the ability to connect with people because I knew what that's like. I knew what it's like to be genuine. I knew what it's like to be kind to people, and I missed that. So because I wanted to bridge the gap, I decided to establish myself as a secure being by understanding how to get rid of unintentionally being cold. There's times where you need to be cold. I'm not saying you shouldn't. There's times where you go into that room, okay, and you act like you need the deal, you've lost the deal. You go into a room anxious, right? You probably know, you're probably in sales, you probably close deals. If I go in there, I remember the last time, there was a time I was speaking to a multi-millionaire. I said I was going to give you a story. I'm going to do that after that one. The time I was speaking to a multi-millionaire, the guy was like, huh? Every other person has come in and they've said they are going to sell my house for half of your fee. Why the hell should I go ahead with you? I said you shouldn't. You shouldn't. Okay? Bearing in mind, this was the biggest deal at the time for me, right? But I didn't care. And because he sensed that I didn't care as I was speaking to him, I wasn't trying to pitch him. I was just trying to let him know that this is who you should trust. If I am going to come to you and tell you that I will sell you as long as you give me a property, I don't have the capacity. I shouldn't represent you. Why? Because I'm not confident enough to sell at the price I want. Listen, my negotiators, they're doing bits. So the price I've set is the price I've set because I know what I'm working with. So if you want to genuinely go out there and give it to these people that compete amongst each other, you are more than welcome to do so. And he was like, where do I sign? And I was like, oh, curse, yeah, sign here. Right? The only reason why I was able to do that is because I was cold. I didn't care. And the world sometimes needs you to be cold in order for you to get the things you want. If you're going for an argument and you're like, oh my gosh, I need you to come back to me. No, sometimes you need to be like, babe, I understand your frustration, but this is my stance. I hope you're okay with it. I hope you can get to a resolution. Right? If you need to understand how to do that properly, drop me a message so I can show you how. But the point is, composure will save lives. Right? Last but not least, become the evidence. I love this one. See, a lot of people are like, once I get this thing, I'll become the man. Once I get this thing, I'll become the man. And what you're not realizing is that you're literally reality's bitch. Okay? I actually got this concept from Neuro Knowledge, so shout out to him. But the moment everything else is needed for you to feel like you're not you, you're just borrowing everything else. And that's my one. Right? And what that basically means is that until you have your armor, your sword, and your helmet, you are no one. Right? So the helmet is the mindset, the ability to stick to your word. What you're gonna get that once you move into a new space, because the new environment is gonna make it easy for you to do it. I used to do the same thing. I was saying, once I get to Dubai, I'm gonna be disciplined and I'm gonna be able to eat healthy and blah 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 blah. Right? Hands. Once I get the right amount of money, right? I'm currently on 100k. I'm not saying I'm on 100k. I may or may not be. I'm currently on 100k, right? Once I get to 1 million, then I'm the man. Then, in terms of stability, once my relationship is stable, then I'll feel like the man. I made a video on your identity stability, where I break down exactly how to ensure that your stability is dependent on something no one can take away from you. Because the moment your ability to be the man is based on something you don't have yet, you will never be the man. So what do you need to do instead? Very simple. You become the man now. Okay? That's you decide to become him by stacking the evidence. Okay? And the evidence is the reps, right? Today I showed up. I didn't just show up, I showed up exactly how I'd want to show up once I had the results. Because I don't care about the results. I'm just going to show up how I know this guy will show up. Right? So I don't care if you're watching and you don't like my stuff. There's 100+ people that do. Who cares? And even if they don't like it, I was there when I had 10. Does that make sense? So you decide to become the person you're meant to be by stacking the evidence based on the actions you're taking today. And that wraps up, in a nutshell, how every single time you lose yourself, based on these 7 laws, you regain yourself. Now, I do this work with clients. I've done it for hundreds of men. However, if you're looking to have this implemented in your personal life, okay, based on your personal scenario, we can work together and work our way out on learning the things you're currently having that are blocking the very things you're trying to achieve. Okay, so if you're interested in doing that, the link to do that is in the description. The work I've done with some people has been amazing. Some people didn't even need to work with me for them to have the change. You probably know it because you watch the content. And that's pretty much it for it today, guys. Okay, I really hope this has added value to you. I'll be surprised if it didn't, because people actually paid for this. These are some of my laws, secrets, and we're done. See you in the next one. By the way, if you want to understand how to figure out your identity, I suggest you should watch a video. Probably be somewhere here. Yeah, I'll see you in the next one.